Hello everyone, and welcome to a review of the Nicrew Classic LED aquarium light. This is a medium output style of light, and it uses 18 watts of power to produce 920 lumen at a colour temperature of about 7000 Kelvin, which basically means it's a budget-friendly light that's fairly bright for your average aquarium, and it's going to produce a cool bluish kind of light rather than the yellow that you'd get from a traditional fluorescent tube light, for example. The light itself comprises mostly of little white LEDs with a few blue ones thrown in down the centre, and the classic version doesn't have the red or green LEDs that the Nicrew's high output light does. It does though still produce enough of a full spectrum for the plants in your tank to be able to photosynthesize, so they're still going to be able to grow using this light. So this light that I've got is the 80cm model, and it was purchased for £30 from Amazon, which makes it a pretty cheap little light option really, considering the size and style of light. The Classic is a very basic model. It doesn't have any of the gimmicks or clever functions of the pricier lights. It's got no controller, no programmable settings or anything like that. You can't even adjust the brightness, it's just standard, straight LEDs there to illuminate your tank. The styling is certainly one of the features that really drew me to the Nicrew light. The LEDs are nicely spaced and they cover quite a broad area, and on this particular model the LEDs are arranged in a grid pattern roughly 1 inch apart. This spacing means that more of the tank is going to receive light directly, compared to if the LEDs were arranged in a line, for example. And so what that means is, even if your tank is quite wide, you can probably get away with just having one of these lights rather than two, which obviously, at the end of the day, is going to save you money. The light's housing itself is made from aluminium, which seems quite robust, but the cover on the underside for the lights themselves is this thin sheet of plastic, and it does seem rather wobbly. This wouldn't usually bother me, but as the light is covered in warning signs saying that it is not waterproof and so condensation could be a problem, I would really like to have seen a more sealed unit, if only for peace of mind. The light itself is held over the aquarium using these brackets that slot into the sides. These are easy to insert, as you can see, and they can be adjusted to fit the length of your aquarium. How far they will extend out depends on the model, but just remember that while these brackets will go further in and out, it doesn't mean the light itself is going to change size. Luckily though, there is plenty of overlap in Nicrew's light sizes, so if like me you have an 80cm tank, then you can see that both of these lights would actually work for it. But this larger one is going to fit more comfortably, and the light itself will be bigger, and so it's going to cover more of the tank. If on the other hand you're aiming for a less illuminated style of tank, then by all means go for the slightly smaller light, it's still going to fit. I find I both like and dislike these brackets. I like them because they make attaching the light to a tank rack, for example, like a G-rack, much easier. You can just insert the brackets upside down, and then with a little bit of duct tape attach them underneath the shelving, and this is so much easier I find than trying to use something like cable ties. But there is absolutely no warning at all when you're getting towards the end of the bracket's extension length, and so they'll just pop out at the ends. This seems really risky when you're suspending your expensive light over your precious fish, and when just one little notch in that plastic would have made enough difference to prevent the bracket from just falling out, then I don't know, it just seems like a bit of an oversight from whoever designed this. Once in place, the light has 3 functions. It can either be fully on, only the blue lights, or fully off. I really like the white light, it works absolutely fine, it illuminates a nice strong column of light, and it doesn't have too much glare to it. Personally, I really do not like this blue light. I know they're supposed to mimic moonlight, but honestly, when have you ever seen moonlight that looks like this? I think it's too bright, and I'd like to see a dimmable function just so that we can set it to something more realistic. Overall though, the Nicrew Classic is a bright light so long as your aquarium isn't more than about 60cm deep. Anything more and you will want something a little bit stronger. The light it produces is sufficient for photosynthesis, so yes, the plants will grow using it. And the build quality is pretty good for the cost. Yeah, it's a little bit wobbly in places, and you certainly need to be careful with it, but for £30, I'm not going to complain. Much. I might complain a little bit. In fact, if it falls in the tank, I'm going to complain quite a lot, but so far so good, I haven't had any trouble with it. Anywho, I hope you've enjoyed this little review of the Nicrew Classic LED. Enjoy the rest of your day, happy fish keeping everyone. If you've got one of these, let me know your experiences with it, and if you found a way of making it a bit more stable, I'd definitely like to hear about that. But anyway, I will see you again soon. Bye bye!